Are the New England Patriots disrespecting the Houston Texans? And we also have some breaking news.
Hard work, hard work, hard work, hard work, hard work, work. There you go. Hard work, work. Everybody doing it right. Hard work, work, work. That's what you say. Hard work, work, work. Earn more pay. Hard work, work. Hard work. Do it every day. Hard work, work. Get up out of 2:45. Hard work, work. To go and earn more pay. Hard work, work. Boots on and lace.
Hey, what's going on, y'all? You're tuning to the Sports Talk with Big Sarge show. I'm your host, Big Sarge. Make sure you follow me on the app formerly known as Twitter at Big Sarge Sports with the Z at the end. Make sure you follow me on the Tick and the Talk at Big Sarge Media. Make sure you follow me on Instagram at Big Sarge Sports with the Z. Because you know we do everything for the gram. And make sure that you are subscribed to my YouTube channel at Big Sarge Media. All right, before we get started here, breaking news. The Houston Texans have placed wide receiver Nico Collins on the injured reserve list. We just got that. That just came out. So the Houston Texans will be without wide receiver Nico Collins this week against the New England Patriots. And it's a huge blow. That's a big blow for the Houston Texans to lose the number one wide receiver in the NFL as far as receiving yards is concerned. So we'll see. On today, I'll get a chance to go over to NRG today in their practice, and we'll get a chance to speak with Houston Texans head coach DeMeco Ryans. We'll get a chance to speak to Houston Texans quarterback CJ Stroud, and we'll get a chance to go into the locker room. And so, you know, we'll see. Next man up mentality. They talk about it all the time. They talk about the next man up mentality all the time. And that is some big shoes to fill when you're thinking about replacing a wide receiver like Nico Collins, who, I mean, they missed him last year. I think he missed 2 games last year. And you know, his production, let's just go ahead and say it. His production with CJ Stroud is amazing. And he's one of those wide receivers that CJ Stroud looks for. But on the Wednesday edition of the Locked On Texans podcast, available wherever you get your podcast from, John and I discussed who we think can replace him. And I said, well, you just got to listen to the podcast. Just listen to the podcast, and there is a wide receiver that the Houston Texans have on their roster who is capable of holding it down until Nico gets back. And I'm just going to give you a hint. Hey, look, psst, don't tell John. Hey, look, stop lying. Stop right there. When I did this, psst, y'all thought I was going to say, I see dead people. They not like us. They not like us. They not like us. Focus, Sarge. Psst, don't tell John I gave y'all this answer, okay? But I believe, me, Sarge, I believe that Xavier Hutchinson can fill in for Nico Collins until he gets back. He can hold it down. But don't tell John I said that. Hey, you know what's weird? I was talking to my frat brother this morning, and I said, I cannot wait to the Super Bowl, because when Kendrick Lamar, who is headlining the halftime show, when Kendrick Lamar goes, trying to strike a chord, and he's going to stop. And the entire stadium is going to go A minor. And ain't that what Kendrick did on the Juneteenth celebration? A minor. If I'm Drake, I'll be like, cut this shit off. I'm done. Get me in the booth right now. For what, Drake? You gonna sing to him? Why you do me like that, Kendrick? Kendrick, why'd you do me like that? Can't sing your way out of this one, young player. And I'm a Drake fan. Just going to record by saying that. I'm a Drake fan. All right. Once again, tuned to the Sports Talk with Big Sarge show. I'm your host, Big Sarge. On today's show, we're going to talk about, are the Patriots disrespecting the Texans? Have the Texans been playing effectively on offense, but we're only looking at scoring? And we will be joined by Kelly Iko, regional NBA reporter for The Athletic, New York Times, talking some Rockets basketball. Listen, real quick, I got a question for you all. Hey, how ain't it too soon to be putting out Christmas decorations? We ain't even got to Halloween yet. It's not even Halloween. And these stores are putting out Christmas decorations. Look, I thought you had to wait till like Halloween, daylight savings time, Ash Wednesday, Thanksgiving. And then after Thanksgiving is when the tree's supposed to go up, right? That's how it used to be for me. Back in the day when I was coming up, we waited to put the tree up after Thanksgiving and took it down after New Year's. Because some of y'all lazy sons of you know what, y'all still got y'all Christmas tree up. It's October. You've had your Christmas tree up since, you know what, some of y'all probably never take it down. Some of y'all do fake trees, y'all probably don't take it down. Y'all just like, hey, put a blanket over, nobody gonna notice it. You damn sure keep your lights on the house. Sometimes you probably even turn them on in the summer, but it is entirely too early to be putting out Christmas decorations. So what, at Thanksgiving, y'all gonna start putting out Valentine's candy? At Christmas, y'all gonna start putting out Easter candy? Y'all gonna start putting out Easter cards? Like, it is entirely too early to be doing something like that. Speaking of too early, y'all, my next guest, he got up early so he could be on this show with me. Let me go ahead and pull him onto the screen. My next guest, I listen, let me tell you something, my guy. I really appreciate this. Because I know PCB, we ain't got it. It's only two of us left here. I mean, you know, the other PCB, you know, our other PCB frat brother went on to he went on to greener pastures. So he got
bigger and better things. Yeah.
I want to be a beat writer for the Detroit Pistons. So for the Detroit News, I'm going to move. I'm taking my expertise and fandom to Detroit. Yeah, Cody Davis, we talking about you.
Talking about your ass.
Hey, look, hold on, time out before I even introduce you. Like, hey, don't think that Cody the only one that I'm gonna say this about, because I mean, Mr. NBA regional who covers the Rockets, who covers the San Antonio Spurs and the Memphis Grizzlies. God. I'm the only one that's gonna be repping for PCB in every home game for the Houston Rockets. And with that being said, hey, side note, you remember I used to call you Iko?
Oh my
you had to
God.
Tell me. And you had to tell me, hey man, my last name is Iko. But thank you for listen, Kelly. I'm from Texas, bro. You know we think that
I know. It's the Texas slang, the vernacular. So I get it. I ain't mad at it. but y'all gotta stop saying. Y'all gotta stop saying it, man. Shit.
Joining me on the Sports Talk with Big Sarge show today, we have none other than Kelly Iko, from the NBA regional reporter for The Athletic and the New York Times. Kelly, thank you for joining us here today. This is a live show, so there's probably going to be some comments going on the side, and you'll see them, and I'll tell them to you. I'll put them up on the screen.
This is dope. This is dope, man.
Hey, look, I appreciate it, man. This, like I said, this means this means a lot to me. So, Kelly, we're just gonna jump right into it, man.
All right.
What do you think is going to take for the Houston Rockets to get over that hump and become a playoff team this season?
So, honestly, if you look at last season and specifically, you know, how the Rockets shot from the three-point line, in terms of trying to build the kind of offense that Ime Udoka wants, you know, that inside-outside versatility, that simplicity that he kind of strived for with this group. Last season, they really struggled in shooting the three ball. And I think when you look at all the factors that should be playing into their favor, Jabari Smith being that two-way presence, that 6'10", 6'11", you know, inside-outside guy, You have Jalen Green, who's a bit of a streaky shooter. You have guys like Dylan Brooks and Fred VanVleet, who are those veteran additions, but are also guys that have historically been able to shoot the three ball. Now you bring in a guy like Reed Shepard, who shot the hell out the ball in college. Can he bring that over to the NBA? But honestly, I think there are two things. I think the two biggest factors to whether this team can be a playoff team is, number one, if Alperen Şengün actually becomes comfortable shooting that three ball with consistency, and two, if Jabari Smith gets a bigger portion of the Rockets' offense. It seems like sometimes he's trying to kind of pick his spots because there are a lot of mouths to feed. Jalen, Alperen, Fred, hell, even Dylan. So and then you got guys like Cam that want to score. So I honestly think that Jabari has been one of the X factors to their success because he's able to do so much and he's able to soak up so much of their responsibilities, kind of the grunt work.
Yep.
And I just think that if he's a guy that's averaging 16 and 7, shooting 38% from three on like 6 threes a game, I think Houston goes from 41 to 45 wins. Now, do I think that 45 wins this year is going to be the threshold to make it to the play-in? I think around that 45, 40, because the West is deep. I mean,
yeah,
you've seen all these teams come through the arena. They're deep, and they only manage to get better every year. So, aside from Houston trying to clean up their defense and trying to go from a top 10 to a top 5, whatever, offensively they need to become at least a top half shooting team if they want any realistic chance of getting to the playoffs.
Kelly, you mentioned one of my favorite Rockets players, and I mean I've always talked about him, and Jabari Smith Jr. and him coming into his third year. There's a lot of talk around the NBA on how Jabari has grown, as far as his game is concerned. He talked about working on his ball handling skills, to be a better ball handler, to be able to bring the ball up the court. Of course, he worked on his shooting. He was part of the USA select team to help the Olympic team get ready to go to Paris. And, he was joined by teammate Amin Thompson. And there was a lot of praise for Jabari Smith Jr. And you brought up something, Kelly, that I have been saying, for a very long time, meaning at least, this year, last year and this year. Kelly, to me, the Houston Texans and the Houston Rockets are the Spider-Man meme. And they're pointing at each other because they're exactly the same team, just in different sports. They went through a 3-year period where they were doing rebuilding, where they were trying to get their teams back together. The franchises did not look the best in the NBA, and the NFL. This is teams that had to rebuild their image, had to rebuild their character, and they did that by what? The Houston Texans brought in DeMeco Ryans, first-year head coach, and he helped turn the Houston Texans organization around. The Houston Rockets brought in Ime Udoka, who had been his one season as a head coach with the Boston Celtics, took them to the NBA Finals, brought him in, and he helped turn around the culture. He helped turn around the culture exactly how DeMeco Ryans did with the Houston Texans. And so I look at it the exact same way. And Kelly, when you brought that up about Jabari and him, that's the one thing that I've always said about him is that we'll see his game start to evolve and grow once he gets more touches. But they have so much talent on that team, so much talent on the floor when he's playing. It's the equivalent, to the Texans offensive side of the ball with CJ Stroud, with Stephon Diggs, Tank Dell, when Nico Collins is healthy, when he's in the game, when Joe Mixon is healthy in his game, Dalton Schultz, even rookie tight end Cade Stover. And so, Kelly, how does Ime incorporate that into getting Jabari more touches and helping him get going on the offensive side of the ball?
That's a good question. So, obviously, I wasn't at Houston's first preseason game. I was in Dallas covering Memphis, but I went back and watched the film from Houston's game.
Mhm.
And going back to kind of the stuff we saw a little bit with the scrimmage, Ime is a guy that offensively is going to keep things very simple. But one thing about Ime's offensive scheme is that players are interchangeable. So, for example, you'll see him run a guard off of a double drag and pull up for a three.
Yeah.
Like a Reed Shepard or a Fred or a Jalen. You also see him run that same action for a guy like Jabari Smith, because Jabari is able to hopefully put the ball on the ground and either pull up from his favorite spot around the elbows or drive it to the basket, or, you know, even stop for the three at the perimeter.
Yeah.
So against Utah, we saw that a couple of times where he would run up Jabari off a double drag. And the first time I think he actually got to the line and he got fouled. The second time he scored.
Mhm.
So preseason is the time where coaches like to experiment with things that they've been working on to see, you know, is there any carryover to the regular season? So I think for a guy like Jabari, the key for Ime to getting him more involved in the offense is when the lineups that are on the floor. So if Jabari is playing the five at spots in the game, he can get more pick and pop opportunities. He can get more involved because of how spaced the floor is.
Yeah.
When he's playing with Alper and Şengün, you know, there are times where you see Jabari at the nail and Alper on the block, and they'll flip. And either Alper can give a dump off pass to Jabari if they have a mismatch in the paint. I mean, in the perimeter, in the paint, or he can pull up for a jumper himself. So a lot of it is confidence. You know, Jabari is a confidence guy, and you know this as well. Like, he gets up for certain games, like against Wemby. You know, that thing that really stuck with him last season, trying to prove a point to everybody. He's a rhythm guy.
Yeah.
And it's important to keep rhythm guys involved. Like, the worst thing in the world is to have a guy like that isolated in an offense, and then all of a sudden in the third quarter, he misses two shots because, you know, it doesn't have that rhythm going. So for guys like Jabari, you want to keep things, you know, involved pretty frequently. So it's going to be up to Fred, up to the ball handlers, Alper, to make sure that this guy gets some shots, because when he's going, they're a pretty hard team to stop because he can do a lot of different things. He's a plus rebounder. He's a solid defender. He's athletic. He's tenacious. He has that grit, and he can space the floor. So it's like, on paper, he should be a coach's dream. The only thing is, how do you actually actualize that dream in terms of playing to his strengths on a consistent basis?
And Kelly, you brought up the Houston Rockets lost they played their first preseason game against the Utah Jazz, and they lost 122 to 113. But at one point, I think that they were up by 19 points. And I don't want to say that they're not taking the preseason seriously, but what they're doing is a lot of times, just like in the NFL, preseason is for you to work on things. And just like you said earlier about working different types of sets on the offense and the defensive side of the ball. And so, you know, like I said, at one point when they had those young guns in there, Kelly, they were up by 19. And I mean, all I was saying was high flyers.
Imagine looking great. Like, they was getting after it. They was getting after it.
And so how does Ime keep that? Well, Ime, Coach Udoka, how does he keep that young talent honed in to be able to keep hooping? You know, and I use that term because, you know, Kelly, I'm a little bit older than you are. When you still get out there, I don't play basketball as much, but you still get out there and you go to different gyms and you play pickup basketball, and sometimes you just get a five on there. Huh?
No, I don't. Not no more. I'm good.
Oh, you don't hoop like that no more. You used to put up videos all the time. Well, when you did hoop, Kelly,
I did.
When you did hoop, sometimes you'll get on the court and all of a sudden you're playing against five guys who just, you know, picked up each other on the side. Hey, you want to hoop? You want to hoop? You want to hoop? And it's five young athletic guys just running. They ain't running no plays. All they're doing is hooping. I feel that that's what the Houston Rockets have in Jalen Green, Jabari, Alper and Şengün, Cam Whitmore, Amen Thompson. You're getting Tari Eason back. You got Reed Shepard that's going to be able to that's coming in this season. How does he hone in all of that young talent who wants to get out and run, who wants to just hoop? How does he hone that in to get them to where they're trying to be?
I think the biggest thing that should motivate that group is getting to the playoffs. Like, you should see the goal at the end of the season.
Yeah.
The last half of the year we saw from them last year, we saw them actually playing and fighting for something.
Mm-hmm.
And for a good portion of that time, they were in the thick of the playing race.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, they faltered at the end, due to lack of experience, whatever you want to chalk it up to. But that tail end should be enough motivation for you guys to come into this season with a goal fully locked in, ready to hoop. Like, if that doesn't push you enough, I'm not sure what will at this point, because there's been a rebuild for 3 years now?
Yeah.
If you want to say they're out of their rebuild now, because now they have a team that can go on and make the playoffs, how do you flip the switch to a more zeroed in, lasered in type of focus? And I think just getting to the play and just having playoff basketball back at Toyota Center again should be enough of a pushing factor. Because obviously, granted, I don't think any of these guys, they weren't around the last time the Rockets had a playoff game. Some of these guys were probably still in high school.
Yeah.
Right. But, having seen what that looks like from people like us that have covered it. Yeah. If you're a player and you have a coach in Ime that's been to the mountaintop, he hasn't gotten through it, but he's been there.
Yeah.
That should be enough of a factor for you to want to give 110%, to get, to where you're trying to go.
Yeah. Once again, you're tuning into the Sports Talk with Big Sarge show. I'm your host, Big Sarge, and joining me today is Kelly Iko, NBA regional reporter for the Athletic New York Times. Kelly, I want you to take off your Houston Rockets local hat. Take that hat off, and I need you to put on your NBA hat. And I don't mean just the region, because there's two questions that I need to ask you about the NBA. And I need, I don't need Kelly Iko from the Houston Rockets. I need Kelly Iko from the NBA, because I don't think that I don't think that I've said this enough, Kelly. I think I've said this to you in person, but I don't think that I've said this enough on platforms. Man, you're by far one of the best NBA reporters out there, man. You take your craft very, very seriously, up into the point of getting yourself in trouble. But that's another story for nothing. Kelly, come here. I need to talk to you. Look,
Tracy, we love you.
I feel like I hear that on a consistent basis. Kelly, come here. And for those of you all who don't know, let me say this. Side note, let me tell y'all this right quick. So, listen, you see, I got it on my chest. I graduated from Prairie View A&M University with a degree in business information systems. I do not have a radio and television broadcasting degree. I don't have a journalism degree. I didn't go to school for that at any institution. But what I did, I'm in my last year, my senior year of the Kelly Iko School of Journalism. Kelly, the things that I have learned from you, both good and bad, because sometimes people will look at it as bad, and I'm saying to myself, no, because Kelly gets the job done.
That's a goal.
So I graduate. Look, I graduated at the end of this season. There will probably be a ceremony right here on the show.
Accelerator program.
Hey, right, Kelly, we got to find somebody. Maybe we can get Cody to do the commencement speech.
I hate Cody. So Cody, we get Spo. We get Spo to do it.
For real. Spo will say these. You know what? I'll save that for the chat. But Kelly, you are by far one of the best NBA reporters out there. Sure. And I love watching your ascension, and I know that you're not finished yet. You got other heights you're gonna go to. Sure. That being said, the Houston Rockets are not only in a tough Western Conference, and I will talk about that. That's my second question. We'll talk about the Western Conference, but in their own division, Kelly, they have the Dallas Mavericks, who went to the NBA Finals. They got the Memphis Grizzlies with Ja Morant returning, and they have a very good roster. The New Orleans Pelicans have a very good roster. And what the San Antonio Spurs did by going out and getting Chris Paul to work, Victor Wembanyama, I'm saying to myself, Yeah, we're talking about the Houston Rockets making it to the playoffs, but they're in a gauntlet. They got to make it out of their own. They got to make it out of their own division. How do they do that, Kelly?
Thoughts and prayers. I don't know how. It's. Have you just looked at the Western Conference, like just the teams alone? Like,
Yes,
it's at least 11 teams that could theoretically say we're making the playoffs, or we
yes,
have a good shot to make the playoffs.
yes.
So you got to get out of the way of at least 3 of these teams in your division, like,
Yeah.
because you're not getting, but like you won't finish higher than Dallas.
Yeah.
Probably won't finish higher than New Orleans. Maybe. I mean, injuries may play a part, but I mean,
They got DeJounte Murray over there now, right?
and they just added DeJounte Murray. You're shoulder to shoulder with the likes of New Orleans, Memphis. You know who's going to emerge from that. That's the key. And you got to
Dallas
worry about
added Klay Thompson, right?
Added Klay Thompson, Derek Lively looked great in their first preseason game. Like they added Najee Marshall. Like they look good. They look really good.
Mhm.
And now you're talking about other teams. You got Phoenix with Bradley Beal now healthy. You got the Lakers with all their good vibes going on. You got
Sacramento with
Sacramento with DeMar DeRozan.
Yeah.
Who added to that piece. Like it's a lot you got to deal with in the Western Conference. So Houston really has a very thin margin of error this season. Like they can't have one of them months where they go like where they're losing 4 out of 5. It's going to put you behind the A ball, and you do not want to be behind the A ball in the Western Conference. That is bad news from the start.
Yep.
So I really think they're up against it. They really have to be firing on all. Everything has to work. Like Alp has to continue to dominate. Jalen has to start off how he ended the year. Those guys have to be locked in. Everyone needs to be on the same page. Dylan can't have the kind of year he had last year in terms of like the defensive slipping and all that stuff. Like he has to be on his A game. A lot of things have to happen for these guys to make the playoffs. It's
Wait,
not
hold
going
on.
to be a walk in the park.
Kelly, let me ask you this question real quick because you brought up something that I wanted to ask you, and I was going to ask you this off the record, but this is the best time to do it right here on Sports Talk with Big Sarge. Kelly, how does Jalen Green and Alperen Şengün coexist at the same time on the court? How do they reach that next level of playing with each other? Because we've seen when one is injured, it looks like the other one takes off, right? It looks like when one is injured, one takes off. But when they're on the floor together, sometimes that continuity isn't there. And you have two talented players who we should be able to look at and say, no, these guys shouldn't have an issue playing with each other. But sometimes that continuity isn't there.
So funny enough, I think the biggest or the easiest answer to that problem, if you want to call it that, was for those guys to get in shape. Like, because Ime wants to play fast. And you saw how Alperen looked 2 nights ago. He looks a lot leaner, a lot quicker.
Yes.
He's getting his contested shots better. He's getting up and down the floor. He's setting screens actively. He's rolling. It's like that's the key. Because if you talk to Jalen enough and you've talked to the guys on the team enough, they all want to play fast.
Yeah.
Now, how does that contrast with a Fred VanVleet that's a patient guy? How does that contrast with an Alpi that's typically a patient guy? You know, you kind of see it. I think last season they finished around 14th or 15th in pace, right? And
yeah,
you know, wants to get that probably up to the top 10, top 7. So
yeah,
that's why you see, if you go back and look at the summers that Alperen and Fred had, all you saw was conditioning.
Yep.
These guys are running every day trying to get in shape. It's almost like a Miami Heat type of thing. Like you have to be in tip-top shape because you're going to run and run a lot. Your best players or your best athletes are the guys, Amen, Cam, Jalen. They all want to get up and down the floor. So how do you complement that? You got to get in shape and you got to run. So I think the best way for those guys to be on the same page is for them to both be running constantly because obviously you've seen they can play well together. We've seen them play well together for periods in the season. How do you extrapolate that for an entire year? it requires a mental shift, and that ties right back into your physical shape and your performance.
Yeah. Kelly, I want to thank you for joining Sports Talk with Big Sarge today. PCB, we ain't got it.
Good.
One day we're gonna tell people what that actually means. And I know one person who's probably gonna cry once they find out what PCB means, and I'll be like, hey, my guy, you did it to yourself. Kelly, tell the people where they can find you at, man, and find your work.
Yeah, so follow me on Twitter, Kelly Iko. That's the name right there on the screen. That's my Instagram. That's on Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it. Subscribe to The Athletic. We got some good stuff coming out. Subscribe to the Detroit
News. Peek of what you're working on?
Oh, sneak peek. Okay, so I've been working on this Jalen Green profile for 2 months.
Oh, wow.
2 months. That's coming out before the season, so look out for that. It was really good. I got to spend time with them and really get into what it means to grow, like as a human being, and evolve, especially when you're approaching the most important year of your life to date, personally and professionally. So, yeah, look out for that. I got some stuff around the NBA, regional stuff coming out too as well. So look out for that. But yeah, thank you for having me on, bro. This is dope. This is really dope.
Hey man, look, this ain't gonna be the last time, man. I owe you lunch now, of course. We actually need to sit down and have lunch, man. I got some things I want to run by you.
Facts.
I know that I won't see you probably until next week. When the Rockets come back and they play. I think the Rockets are in action tonight against Oklahoma City Thunder, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, in Oklahoma City. Yep.
And then they'll be back here for 2 preseason games. They have a fan. They have an open practice this Saturday, October the 13th, and so
they do.
Yeah,
oh, okay.
They do.
All right, bet.
And so, right before.
Sorry, Tracy. She's gonna be mad.
Yeah, for sure. Look, and she's a friend of the show. So, and tomorrow. But Kelly, I want to thank you, man, for coming on, brother. I look forward to seeing you next week, man. Keep up the good work, bro. And hey, look, I got my assignments coming. This, like I said, this is my senior year. And your senior year is when you do your internship, right?
Yeah. Internship, yeah. The capstone, get your capstone there, man.
All right, Kelly. Thanks, man.
All right.
I want to thank Kelly Iko from The Athletic, New York Times, NBA regional reporter, for joining us today to talk some Houston Rockets basketball and just some NBA basketball in general. I will have him back on the show. I'm about to take a break, but when I come back, hey, are the Patriots really disrespecting the Houston Texans? We'll be back. Hey, welcome back. You're tuned to the Sports Talk with Big Sarge show. I'm your host, Big Sarge. I'd like to thank my guest, Kelly Iko from the New York Times Athletic, for joining us, talking some Houston Rockets basketball. For those of you all who are just joining, we had breaking news at the top of the show. Once again, Houston Texans wide receiver, the NFL leader in receiving yards, Nico Collins, has been placed on the injured reserve list by the Houston Texans. Got that news, I want to say about 35 minutes ago. And I want to make sure that I shared that with you all. And we'll talk about, we're going to talk about how the Texans can move on and survive without Nico Collins. Probably here later on this week when I have John Hickman, my co-host on the Locked On Texans podcast. Him and I talked about that on Wednesday's edition about who we think can step up. And so now that Nico is officially placed on the injured reserve list, we'll dive into that. I think John's going to be a guest on the show coming up this Friday. So that's some news that the Houston Texans probably didn't want to hear. They probably weren't ready for, but for them to place him on the injury reserve, that means that it has to be pretty bad. And they just want to give him time to heal. And it's better that they give him this time now than to try to push him through and lose him for the season, because he's a huge part of their offense. All right. So on Tuesday, it was announced that the Patriots are going to start rookie quarterback Drake May in Sunday's game against the Houston Texans. Right? They're going to start their rookie quarterback Drake May against the Houston Texans. And I just think that that's disrespectful. I do. Hey, drop it in the comments if you all think that that's disrespectful, because I think it's disrespectful. I think it's very disrespectful to the Houston Texans, who has a top 5 defense in the NFL, that you say, hey, I want to make this change now. I want to make this change right now, going up against the Houston Texans. You're bringing in your rookie quarterback, making this change, trying to put the, want there to be a shift. And I'm saying to myself, but why would you do that against the Houston Texans? Why not wait until you play someone else? Why would you do that against the Houston Texans? And if I'm the Texans defense, I'm definitely taking it as disrespect. So you don't respect us enough to start the veteran Jacoby Brissett? Oh, you think that okay, I get it. So you think we weak. You don't have no respect for us. And by not having no respect for us, you're going to start your rookie quarterback hoping to give him some type of confidence to move on throughout the season. I think that the Texans defense, I think that D'Amico Ryans, I think that Matt Burke, I think that they should all take this as disrespect and try to destroy the New England Patriots. They should do to Drake May what they did to Caleb Williams, quarterback for the Chicago Bears. Constantly pressure him, constantly hit him. They should force Drake May into some turnovers. Like, it's disrespectful to me. That may not be disrespectful to them, because the Houston Texans, their view is probably, hey, look, we take every team serious. They always talk about how it's hard to win in the NFL. It's hard to win in the NFL from week to week. But if I'm them, I'm taking it as disrespect. The reason why I'm taking it as disrespect is you're not about to start a rookie quarterback against me and think that it's all good. That's not CJ Stroud coming into the game. That ain't Jaden Daniels coming into the game. That ain't Trevor Lawrence. That's Drake May. Like, this is who you decide to start against me and my team? Okay, you have no respect for us. I think what's their coach name? Their first year head coach is what? Gerard Mayo? If that's his name, correct? I'm taking that as full disrespect. I'm coming in, shaking his hand, and then I'm letting my defense know, hey, they have that would be the theme the entire week. I would have nothing but Drake May pictures all in the Houston Texans. Every player that's on the defensive side of the ball, from starters to backup, all the way down to the practice team, I would put a picture of Drake May in their lockers and say, hey, this is the guy that they are starting against you, and they say he's going to beat you. Because I'm pretty sure that the New England Patriots aren't putting him into the game and hoping to lose. Oh, we just want to see what we got. I get it. You've lost 4 straight games. It's time to make a change in your minds. Cool. But there's no possible way that I can see a rookie quarterback in Drake May coming into the game and doing something like that. Now, they call me Mr. Nobody. Unfortunately, Texas seem to play down to the level of competition. I would hate to see them go up to New England and lose to a rookie quarterback. Look, they call me Mr. Nobody. When you get a chance Check out Wednesday's edition of the Locked On Texans podcast, available wherever you get the podcast from. And listen to what I had to say about that. Listen to what I had to say about that, about the Houston Texans. And we were talking about the Houston Texans can't fall into the trap this week of playing a New England Patriots team, looking past them, and looking directly at the Green Bay Packers, a team that that looks like a more formidable competitor when you're looking at it on paper. Hey, look, the New England Patriots, they're not the New England Patriots of old. They're not that, 20-year run, that Super Bowl winning, that, Super Bowl appearances, winning these AFC titles, AFC East, winning the AFC. They're not that team anymore. Tom Brady is not walking through that door. The only time he's walking through that door is if he has to call a game. Bill Belichick isn't walking through that door anymore. Like none of the old school New England Patriots players or coaches are walking through that door. I mean, Nick is going to walk through the doors that he used to walk through of his former team, but nobody's coming there to help the New England Patriots. And I don't want the Houston Texans to look past them and start looking at Green Bay, who they play the following week at Lambeau, and say, hey, we're moving on to Green Bay. No, you got to take care of New England first. And by taking care of New England, I mean, y'all should be, there's no possible way that you should allow a rookie quarterback. And like I said, I'm going to say it again and again and again and again. It is totally disrespectful for the New England Patriots to make a change right now at quarterback and bring in Drake May, a rookie, to go up against the likes of Will Anderson Jr., Danielle Hunter, Azeez Al-Shaair, Derek Stingley, Kamari Lassiter, Foley Fatukasi, Khalil Davis, Tim Settle Jr., Henry To'oTo'o. There's no possible way that they should be bringing him in. Hold on, we got another comment here real quick. Jacoby Brissett has torched the Texans in the past, so I'm happy he's going to be on that bench and have a rookie on the field. Yeah, you would hope. But you would also hope that the Houston Texans defense are taking it as disrespect. And then on the offensive side of the ball, you shouldn't let the New England Patriots disrespect your defense like that by putting in a rookie. A rookie? In week 6 against the Houston Texans? Say what you want to say about the Houston Texans and the way that they've been winning this season. Can't say a lot about that defense, though. That defense has played lights out. If I'm not mistaken, they have one of the, I think they got a top 5 defense. Give me 1 second. Let me go here. Let me look it up. Boom, boom. What are we doing here? Sarge, get it together. Okay. Y'all gonna make me do it this way. I got it. No problem. I'm gonna just go and click right there. And then I'm checking the stats. Y'all give me 1 second. Defense, yards allowed. All I'm doing is wait on the screen to pop up. Here we go. Yeah. The Houston Texans have the 4th best defense in the league. They're only giving up 274.2 yards per game. See where they rank as far as they're 3rd as far as passing is concerned at 154. Look, it may be down there a little bit when it comes to rushing. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17th in rushing. At 120, they're giving up 120 rushing yards. I don't think that Ramondre Stevenson, I don't think that he's that good in order to get that many yards on the Houston Texans defense. And they're giving up 22.8 points per game. So with that being said, they have the number 4 defense. The number 4 defense. and their head coach thinks that it's time to bring in that it's time. Hey, Drake May, you're on the clock. Hey, guy, been watching you in practice. I've been watching you since rookie minicamp. Then I watched you through OTAs, voluntary. Then I watched you through mandatory. Then I watched you in. Look, we just had to give you an opportunity to sit on the side and watch them play for a second. Like, I just need you to watch the speed of the NFL game. Now you're ready. All right, coach, I'm ready. When you put me in? Oh, we're going to put you in against the Houston Texans. Say what? Come again, say what? The who? The Houston Texans. You mean the Houston Texans who got 2 defensive ends who salivate at the mouth to try to get sacks? 2 defensive ends that are putting an enormous amount of pressure on quarterbacks this season? You talking about them 2 defensive ends going up against Coach? Did we get some new offensive linemen? No, I'm asking, Coach. I'm just asking because I'm the one that's going to be on the field. You're not going to be on the field. Jacoby, look at Jacoby laughing right now because he already knows because he's been in. Hey, Coach, you got us some new offensive linemen? Because if you ain't getting no new offensive linemen, what you're telling me is that you're giving me, you're throwing me into the Lions den. You're throwing me to the Wolves, basically. You're saying that me, no NFL starting experience, just coming out of college, and you want me to go against Danielle Hunter and Will Anderson. And if I can get past them and step up, I gotta watch because Henry Toa may be coming from the linebacker position, or Aziz may be coming, or Jalen Petrie may be doing a corner blitz. Like, this is the game that you decide that you want me to start. Like, Jacoby can't start one more. You know what? Let me look at the schedule right quick, y'all. Let me look at the schedule. Teams, New England Patriots. So after the Texans, they play the Jaguars. They play the Jets. The Jets got a really good defense. Hold on. Yeah, they play the Jaguars, the Jets, Titans. Titans and Jets have really good passing defense. They're number 1 and number 2. The Titans are number 1 and the Jets are number 2 as far as passing yards allowed. They hold teams to they stingy when it comes to the passing game. They ain't finna give you nothing. So you got the Jets, the Titans, the Bears, and the Rams. So I'm sorry, Jaguars, Jets, Titans, Bears. After the Texans, their next 4 games after the Houston Texans, they play the Jacksonville Jaguars, the New York Jets, the Tennessee Titans, and the Chicago Bears. Hey, Coach, you couldn't have, like, how come I couldn't have started? How come I couldn't have started against the Jags? Why I gotta start against the Texans? Like, look, the Jets are in turmoil. They just fired their coach. They fired their defensive mind. Like, their defensive mind said they fired him. They fired Robert Saleh. Well, why I gotta play against him, Coach? Why are you putting me against him? Like, the Titans, I mean, they don't know what they want to do this season. They ain't no good. The Jags ain't no good. The Jets ain't no good. The Jags ain't no good. The Jets ain't no good. The Titans are no good. And the Chicago Bears, they're coming up. But the Houston Texans, some of them got them going. Some analysts have them going to the AFC Championship game. And this who you want to start me against? Oh, maybe you just been scoreboard watching. Maybe the New England Patriots head coach just been scoreboard watching and ain't really watched how this defense plays. No, they don't do a lot of blitzing. They don't. But they are they are able to get pressure with their front 4. Not always, but most of the time. Coach, you want me to start against the Houston Texans defense, who just held Josh Allen to one of his worst games in his NFL career, had one of the worst games in the NFL in the last 30 years. And that's you think that I'm finna go on there and just bust their ass. Like, oh, Coach, yeah. Drake. Hold on. Let me put this up before I get into this take. As long as they don't wear the Letterman jackets like they did in 42-12 debacle. Yes, and I know some people who still have their Letterman jackets. If Matt Burke is smart, he will switch coverages pre-snap and show May one coverage and roll into another post-snap, causing him to hold the ball longer and allow that line to get home. Of course. Now, y'all give me 1 second. Just give me 1 second. Give me 1 second. Who is there? Who is it? I want to make sure that I got this thing right. Okay, y'all, give me a second. Because I don't want to butcher this. And I want to make sure that I have this thing right. And I thought I did, and I think I have been saying it right. But I just want to make sure, y'all. You know, Sarge on the Sports Talk with Big Sarge show, we like to make sure that when we're dealing in facts, we're dealing in facts. Y'all know when I'm giving my opinion on something, and that ain't hard. That ain't hard to figure out. Let me make sure I got this right. Oh Lord, what are we doing here? Don't worry about it. Hold on, I'm gonna go right here. Give me 1 second, because the information that I'm getting is not what I need, and this is why. Listen, we are on a this is a live show, so this is how it happens in real time. This is exactly how it happens, and I don't have a researcher working behind me, and so this is how it happens. I'm my own researcher. I'm a one-man band. I'm a one-man band. Here we go. I was saying it right, Gerard Mayo. Yeah, I just wanted to make sure y'all know. I could have asked y'all, but y'all doing a lot of work already by just listening to me, which I appreciate. We've talked about this before. All right. So, can somebody please tell New England Patriots head coach Gerard Mayo that Drake lost the beef? Drake lost the battle. Drake lost to Kendrick Lamar. I think on this show, I just did Not Like Us. That song is going to be played at the Super Bowl. And just like I said earlier, when Kendrick Lamar stops and says the line, trying to strike a chord, and he's going to just stop. And the entire, what is it, still the Mercedes-Benz Dome, Superdome, one of them, Smoothie King Dome. I think it's the Mercedes-Benz, if I'm not mistaken, in New Orleans. He's going to stop, and the entire crowd is going to scream, A minor. And they're going to bring the beat back in. They not like us. They not like us. They not like us. Maybe you need to revisit that, Gerard Mayo. Maybe you need to revisit that, because what happened to the rapper Drake and how he was obliterated by Kendrick Lamar in that rap battle? It's the same thing that's going to happen to your Drake against the Houston Texans. I don't think you thought this out too well. Like, just consider your Drake, and consider the Houston Texans Kendrick Lamar. Kendrick Lamar started off a song that says, "Those superpowers get neutralized. I can only watch in silence." You're talking about Drake. You're starting Drake May against the Houston Texans and that defense. I know I've said that on too many times for some people's liking. I'm going to keep saying it because it's idiotic. It's crazy. You can't wait one more week and start him against the Jacksonville Jaguars. You're just going to throw him into the Lions, right? Throw him into the Lions then. Hey, Drake, get ready. I need you to listen to some views from the 6. Hey, I mean, look, I got it. Because what you're doing to Drake May is you're throwing him into a battle with Kendrick Lamar when you should just wait another week and put him back into the battle with Pusha T. I love my hip hop references. Some of y'all may not get it, and it may be shoo, but I love it. And there's a certain group out there that's going to get it. If you're looking at your next two opponents, the Houston Texans are Kendrick Lamar, and the Jacksonville Jaguars are Pusha T. Talking about pushing P, you better off pushing T. If you think about going against me, that's what Kendrick told him. Kendrick told Drake that. And that's exactly what the Houston Texans, should do to Drake May this weekend. As soon as he gets under center for the New England Patriots, they should start going doom 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 doom. Dear Aubrey, that's from Meet the Grams. You know, the song that Kendrick stepped all over. Hey, listen, if I had to say one song that Drake did have in that whole battle, it was Family Matters. That's a good song. I still listen to that. But Kendrick didn't even give him enough time to enjoy the accolades and all the celebration of putting out that very good song, which is Family Matters. And he came right back with Meet the Grams. And so the Houston Texans looking at it like, hey, look, hey, brother, that's great. That's great. You get to start the first game. Bring all your family. Bring all your family. Bring your friends. Tell everybody. Put it all on your socials. Do a campaign of, I finally made it. You know, I made it through the struggle. And now I'm here. And here we go. I'm about to, you know, start my first game. Do all of that. You should be happy. You should be proud. Then once the ball is snapped, all you're going to hear is dun, 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 dun. They not like us. They not like us. They not like us. Will Anderson. They not like us. They not like us. They not like us. Daniil Hunter. They not like us. They not like us. They not like us. Aziz Al-Shir. They not like us. Jalen Petrie. They not like us. Derek Stingley. They not like us. Kamari Lassiter. They not like us. Henry Toa. They not like us. Kalen Bullock. They not like us. Eric Murray. They not. Well, hold on. Eric Murray may have been that may have been taking it too far. Khalil Davis. They not like us. Foley Fadakasi. They not like us. Tim Settle Jr. They not like us. Eric. All right, y'all. Let me read some of these comments. Maybe Mayo feels like the rest of the season would seem easy for Drake after starting with the Texans. Hey, that could be. That could be. Just throw him into the hardest test first, and then everything else should come easy to him. Use that as a barometer and a test. Like, but coach, why them? Why them? Why Debo, coach? Like, why I gotta fight Debo? Let me fight Red. Some of y'all will get that. Let me fight Red. Can I fight Red? Let me fight Smokey. Why I gotta fight Debo first? No, let Jacoby play no. Jacoby would be better for the role of Jacoby is Cole. I mean Cole. Jacoby is Craig. I'm not. I'm Red. Like, no, I can't beat Debo. I can't. I digress. All right, the last thing I have, right? Yeah, the last thing that I have before I have to head over to Houston Texans practice and press conferences and open locker room is this. Hey, have the Texans been playing effectively on offense, but we are only looking at scoring? Am I looking at that wrong? Have the Texans been playing effectively on offense, but we are only looking at scoring? If you look at the Texans, they have the number one passing offense in the league. It's an E right there, Sarge. Sorry, y'all. At 272.4 yards a game. They're 19th in scoring at 20.4 points per game, 6th in total offense at 376.6 yards per game. They had the number one passing offense in the league, and we still look at it as they ain't doing enough. So that 272, y'all really want it to be 350, right? Like 350, 357, 360. Like they're only averaging 376 yards of total offense a game, and you want that to be, I mean, if 272 of it is coming from passing, you want that to be at least 300, 315, 340. Maybe we've been a little bit too harsh on Bobby. Maybe we've been just a tad bit too rough on Houston Texans offense coordinator Bobby Slowik. I mean, because if you still have the number one passing offense, then that just lets you know, okay, well, maybe if we take a step back and look at this thing realistically, if we're looking at it logically, right? If we're using common sense, and one thing when I was an educator, I used to always tell my students, common sense ain't all that common. So if we take a step back and we look at, if we take a step back and use logics, think logically, and we use common sense, what's really been shown is that the Houston Texans are missing Joe Mixon. The Houston Texans are missing their running back. And once they can get their running back back and get the running game going, then these numbers should change for the better. They should jump into the top 10 of scoring once they get Joe Mixon back and get a healthy Nico Collins back. They should probably be in the top 5 as far as total offense is concerned. Their passing offense should be a little bit better. But what these numbers are telling me is that a lot of times that a lot of people have gotten focused on the scoring aspect of the Texans offense and not looking at the actual totality of the offense and not looking at they're using their third string running back in Dare Ugabawale and Cam Akers. They're using backups to the backups. And so there's only so much Bobby can do when he has ineffective. And what I mean by ineffective is I'm not taking anything away from Dare. I'm not taking anything away from Cam, but Joe Mixon is a better runner. Joe Mixon is a better running back. It may look even different if Damian Pierce was out there. But I probably would still make a case of I would probably have Dare and Damian Pierce splitting time as far as backup is concerned. But without their number one running back, hold on for a second. Yeah, I got to put this up. Pass me some of that slow flavored Kool-Aid. Well, tell me where I'm wrong, D Skills H-Town. Tell me where I'm wrong. Look damn good in the opening game against the Indianapolis Colts. Joe Mixon looked good. That offense looked good. It was their first time, everybody playing together, everybody healthy, everybody going, and you figured that, hey, it can only get better. And then in week 2, what happens? Damian Pierce is even available for the first game. But then in week 2, he was hurt. You lose Joe Mixon. You lose Joe Mixon, and he hasn't played in the last 3 weeks. So hopefully you'll get him back. You don't have Damian Pierce. He's not back. And so you look at those games without them, and you look at the running game, you're trying to get it going. Like you're talking about players in Dare and Cam who had no reps with the first team. They didn't have take first team reps. Even when Joe was out, Damian Pierce took the majority of the first team reps. Dare and Cam got second team reps, and let me take that back. I don't want to say they didn't get it. They didn't get consistent. They didn't get consistent reps with that first team. And so I know it's easy to say, hey, just put a running back there and let him run and just let the line block. It ain't that easy. It ain't just plug and play, especially when you're talking about a Houston Texans run defense. I mean, run offense who needs a lot of work. And I'm talking about that line. Their run blocking needs some work. Yes, that's what I'm saying. I think the issues are more about the O-line than anything else, to be honest. Yes, that O-line does need work as far as run blocking is concerned. They need to be better at run blocking. But you know what makes up for that inefficiency as far as run blocking is concerned? A competent running back, a very good running back. And I'm not saying, hear me out, I'm not saying that Dare and Cam are not competent running backs. They're just not on the same level as Joe Mixon, someone who has been doing this thing for a long time, someone who was a very vital part of his former team, the Cincinnati Bengals, making it to the Super Bowl. He's a very good running back, both running the ball and catching the ball out of the backfield. So when you lose number one and number two, now you're looking into changing everything that you've done from training camp, preseason. Now you have to switch up everything. And I know Joe Mixon missed the majority of the training camp and preseason due to injuries, but you still had those plays built in for him because you knew the type of running back that he is. Even if he wouldn't have been available, you knew the type of running back that Dameon Pierce is. Cam Akers, I mean, you basically he basically just came off the street asking for a trial and made the team. Dare, you know what Dare is, but Dare is very good as the third down back. Dare is very good at special teams. Dare is even good at place kicking. So, hold on. Can this O-line actually get better, or is this just what's going to be? I think, like I said, I think once they get Joe Mixon back, they'll be a whole lot better. I think that once they get him back, because he can help with his run style, the way that he runs, he can help cover up some of the inefficiencies of that offensive line. And once again, I'm going to say this. This is an offensive line, an offensive unit that has two players playing on it that are still getting used to, one, playing with each other, and two, playing in the system. Left guard Kenyon Green, who is a very good run blocker, he missed out his entire last season due to injury. He's played 5 games in this Bobby Slowick offense. Juice Scruggs played 2 games at center in playoff last year. But, I mean, if we're really being honest, he's played 5 games at the center position in the Bobby Slowick offense. So, I know we keep saying every week, we got to give it time. We got to give it time. And after a certain time, we're going to say, after a certain time, if we're still seeing in week 11 what we've been seeing in week 5, excuse me, if we're in week 10 and we're still seeing what we've seen in week 5, then no, I'm going to come right on here and say, hey, the Texans got some issues. The Texans got some problems. That offensive line needs to be fixed, and fixed quickly. Lou, what's up, my guy? This is a great question. Great question. And this is a question that I think that some of you all can answer too. Says Lou asks, Sarge, do you think Slowick is only using part of the playbook because Mixon is down? Yes. Yes. That's what I'm saying. You got to think about the amount of work that Bobby did in the offseason to craft the offense. And once they got Joe Mixon, once they were able to trade for Joe Mixon, the wheels started turning. It's like, okay, well, I can run this play with Joe. I can run that play with Joe. I can use this play for Joe. And then all of a sudden, you don't have Joe anymore. Okay, so maybe I can just run I can use the Joe plays. I can take those Joe plays, just insert Dameon Pierce, and probably use some of those same plays. Well, I don't have Joe or Dameon. So now with these plays, right? Now I got these plays. I got to take these plays and put them to the side. And now guess what I got to do? I got to go and I got to get a blank sheet of paper, because now I got to put Cam in here and I gotta put Dare in here. That's a great question, and that's what I mean, and that's why I also feel like as I come back to what I was saying, I do think that the Texans have been playing effectively on offense. We've just been looking at the scoring and the penalties. I'm not going to look past that. I like the fact that they didn't have any penalties in the first half last week against the Buffalo Bills. That third quarter was horrible as far as the penalties are concerned. They need to make sure that they cut down on those even more. We seen last week they scored 17 points in the first half against the Buffalo Bills. We see what a Houston Texans offense can be when it's running efficiently and not being set back with penalties. So I think from here on out, within the second quarter of this season, which started with the Buffalo Bills, I think that so they got the New England Patriots. The next three games, they have the New England Patriots, the Green Bay Packers, and the Indianapolis Colts here, if I'm not mistaken. Somebody double check me on that, but I definitely know the Patriots and the Packers. And I think that third game is against the Colts here. And that after that game, we've been concluded the second quarter of the season. We'll come back and we'll do an evaluation on that as well. And so, what's up, AD? There were a lot of phantom calls in the late third and fourth quarter last game. Yeah, I can see that. We also dropped 4 interceptions last game. That is true. There's a lot of interceptions that was dropped. All right, y'all. I got to get ready to get up out of here to head on over to NRG so I can do an attendance for Wednesday practice, see who's there, who's not. For those of you all who are just joining the show, I've said this twice. I'll say it again. Breaking news: Nico Collins, wide receiver for the Houston Texans, has been placed on injured reserve. The Houston Texans have brought back Quentin. I can't say his last name. Y'all know who I'm talking about. The tight end. God, I always Tyrion. God dang it. Y'all give me a second. I know I say this name right when I see it. I said Quentin, didn't I? I meant to say Tegan Quateriano. They brought back Tegan Quateriano. They got him from the Chicago Bears practice squad, and they have signed Jared Wayne to the practice squad, wide receiver who was here with the Texans last season. And so those are, I said Quentin. I meant to say Tegan, but no disrespect. No disrespect. No disrespect to Tegan. But I mean, Tegan and Kylie Warren, like they're the Spider-Man meme. Like they just going like this. Like I kept saying, like, how they still making the team? Tegan has the look. Don't get me wrong. Let me pull this back up. Tegan has the look. Tegan is 6'6", 259 pounds. He has the look. But so did Kylie Warren. He had the look. Hey, Tegan scored the first touchdown in the preseason, right, AD? Right? Tegan scored the first touchdown in the preseason. Everybody's like, oh, wow, look at Tegan. Look at Tegan scoring the ball. Oh, man. This may be Tegan's season. Yeah, how Tegan going to get into the game when at the time you still had Dalton Schultz, Brevin Jordan, and rookie K Stover? No, I'm just asking, right? Tegan scored the first touchdown in the preseason. Everybody went crazy, and I'm saying that's great. How does he look on special teams, though? Can he block? Can he pump block? What about can he? Is he good as far as kick return? Maybe you can just use him on a practice squad as the opposing teams. Maybe he can play scout team. No, I'm just saying because, I mean, Talking about Teagan? Say at least he can block. I think we seen last game. So can Dalton Schultz and K Stover. Like Teagan play tight end too, right? No, I'm just saying. Let me see. This is hilarious. Get Aziz on the jugs machine pronto. 25 push-ups per drop. Hey, in Teagan, in Aziz's, I almost said Teagan. In Aziz's defense, he was sick. That man wasn't even supposed to be on the field. So we got to give him a pass on that one. Maybe May is a scrambler. Patriots' best chance of avoiding a sack. Nobody's first NFL game should be played against the Texans. Which is Patty, yes, that's exactly what I said, Patty. There's no possible way that you should start him against the Houston Texans defense. Maybe he gives a good look as a scout. Boy Scout? Sorry. I beg to differ on those two. They were lackluster. Yeah, well, I'm assuming AD, you're talking about Dalton Schultz and Cade Stover, and we all remember the debacle, which was Cade Stover trying to block former Houston Texans defensive end Jonathan Grenard in Minnesota. We seen that happen. But then in the next week, what happened? The next week, what happened? You remember the play that Stephon Diggs scored on? Hey, who freed him up? Oh, that was Cade. Hey, you remember this past weekend when Cam Akers scored that touchdown? Who they had in the backfield? They had Dalton Schultz in the backfield, who made a very good block. And then you had Cade Stover coming in motion, who made a very good block. So, I mean, they were lackluster. We still talking about the Vikings game? That's what we're talking about? We're talking about the Vikings game? Because I don't. Lou, you say you're not a huge fan of Dalton. I get it, but I think that he's listen, go back and look at that game against the Bills. When they needed him, he was there. Even though he got the penalty, I understand. But when they needed him, he was there. AD say trying to be nice. You know what, AD? Hold on. Hold on. No, not that. Eventually every squirrel gets his nut. Well, sometimes they get two, but that's another story for another time. I'm going to leave this up here right now because AD, I want to take this time to personally attack you and send you to your therapist. Hold on. He says a broke clock is twice a day. AD, hey y'all, listen, let me do this before because there are some people who don't want to stay around for what's about to happen. You've been tuned into the Sports Talk with Big Sarge show. I'm your host, Big Sarge. Make sure you follow me on the app formerly known as Twitter at Big Sarge Sports with the Z at the end. Follow me on the Tick and the Talk at Big Sarge Media. Make sure you're following me on Instagram at Big Sarge Sports with the Z at the end. Because we're always doing it for the gram. And make sure you are subscribed to my YouTube channel at Big Sarge Media, and also make sure that you're listening to the Locked On Texans podcast, available wherever you get your podcast from. I am the co-host on that show now that Cody Davis has moved on to greener pastures. John and I do a great, y'all need to go listen to that Wednesday show. Shout out to my co-host, John Hickman. So now that we got that out the way, right? Hold on. Bro, I understand. Nico, I definitely understand. Now that we got that, a broke clock is right twice a day. AD, I'm going to take this time to personally attack you. And I'm saying that so you will know. So when your therapist asks you who hurt you, you say Big Sarge. You have a dang on good job. I'm not going to cuss. You got a dang on good job with good benefits, AD. You got a good job with good benefits and your health. I don't know if you got a PPO, a HMO, a LMNOP. I don't know which one of them you got, AD. I just know that you can afford to go to some of the best therapists, some of the best psychologists out there. Like your job, you got a really good job, AD. And side note, before I get into this, AD and I are really good friends, right? So I don't want nobody to think that I'm personally attacking AD. AD and I are really, really good friends. I mean, and if Chris was around, God rest his soul, he'd be on this show, and I'd be talking to him the same way I'm about to talk to AD. AD does an outstanding job of breaking down not only Houston Texans film, but he's a great analyst when it comes to talking not only Houston Texans but football in general. So AD, who is AD, if I'm not mistaken, you're the sole proprietor of the H-Town Rundown, right? Who gives a platform to others to be able to talk about not only Houston Texans football, but Houston Rockets basketball as well. Which, side note, I can't see why you ain't never had me on that show. That's another story for another time. Don't worry about it. Don't hit my line. AD. Y'all see this? A broke clock is right twice a day. Hey, AD, then let me take the time to go tick tock, and I'm not talking about the app. I'm not talking about the social media app. Tick tock. I guess I'm a clock, because if a broke clock is right twice a day, then I'm the damn clock, because I told you, AD, you, whose alma mater is this. But you also went to that other school. And sometimes when I talk to you, AD, I think it'd be because, you be thinking with the other A&M, not this A&M. If you was thinking with this A&M, then you wouldn't have had the audacity to talk about Houston Texans linebacker Henry To'oTo'o, especially after I told you, hey, give him a chance. Hey, man, give him a chance. He was a rookie. You're judging him on his rookie year. You know what you sound like? And I'm not saying that Henry To'oTo'o is going to end his career like Peyton Manning, which means he would be in the Hall of Fame. I'm not going to say that. I'm not saying he's the equivalent to what Junior Seau was. I'm not saying that Henry To'oTo'o is that from the linebacker position. But Peyton Manning had a terrible rookie year. And then he got better. I Jedi mind tricked Henry. He got better. You know what the Houston Texans did? They went out and they got Azeez Al-Shaair, somebody he can learn from. That's no knock at Denzel Perryman. That's no knock at Blake Cashman. Blake Cashman is balling his ass off up in Minnesota. Blake Cashman is balling in Minnesota. So he's at a very good team, the number one team in the NFL. He got the money that he wanted. He happy. I think I don't know if what Perryman is doing. I got to look that up in San Diego, but they're happy where they are. Azeez is a whole different monster and a whole different animal, and somebody who can help. Y'all welcome, Houston Texans fans. Stop it. I just want you to say, Sarge, you were right. Sarge, you were right. Patty, yes. Henry was mic'd up, and man, did he ever have Azeez back? Yes. Henry came in focused. Henry came in better shape than he was the year prior. And Henry came in ready to listen to the teachings of Azeez Al-Shaair, who has played with some very good linebackers. Remember when he was at San Francisco, who he played with? Played with some very good linebackers in San Francisco. And who was coaching out there at the time? His head coach, DeMeco Ryans. So now you're getting all this knowledge and information from Azeez Al-Shaair. You're getting all this information and knowledge from former NFL linebacker DeMeco Ryans, who's your head coach. You combine that together, and you're seeing Henry being able to step up. And he's getting reps. Now, I hate the fact that he's getting reps while Christian Harris is out. I can't wait to see Christian Harris back on the field, because we seen at the end of last season what Christian Harris was able to do from midseason on, where it started to click for Christian, where everything that D'Amico had been telling him and how to play in this system has started to click for Christian, and then you seen it. Oh, so now when Christian comes back, and sometimes if they run a 3 linebacker set with Azeez, Christian, and Henry in the game, I'm just saying. Sometimes maybe that means that you take Eric Murray out the game, move Jalen Petrie back to safety on some plays, and you run 3 linebackers. That's all I'm saying. What's good, Bubba's Eats? They call me Mr. Nobody. The jump Henry T has made from last year to now is amazing. Once he improves his film study and learn offensive scheme, Henry T, yes, and learn to be better in coverage, AD. He has to learn to be better in coverage. But what I seen against Buffalo, you can tell that he's been doing some film study and he's been working on his pass coverage, because there was some play. I forgot which play it was. What play was that? Where the Buffalo Bills ran. AD, help me out. Help me out, AD. There's a play where they ran play action fake to the running back, and Henry's responsibility was the running back. But Henry recognized that it was play action, and what he did was he looked, he seen, and he turned and he started running to drop back into coverage. And there was only like one receiver in that zone, and Henry just kept running, trying to get deep. The play where everybody was covered and Josh Allen got out of the pocket to scramble and picked up like 10, 12 yards, whatever the case. But that was from the coverage being so good. But on that play, Henry realized that it's not a running play, and he starts to drop back in coverage, looking around to see who he could cover. Looking around to see, and then when Josh Allen started to scramble, he came back and ran towards wherever the ball was. You know who did that same type of thing? Azeez. You remember in the Indianapolis Colts game where they got that second big touchdown play? I think it was the 54-yarder that they had. If you go back and you look at that game, Azeez had dropped so far that he was right there near the he had dropped so far that he was right there near the wide receiver, and the ball grazed his hand. It grazed his hand and went to the wide receiver's arm, and they scored on that play. But on that play, Azeez did the same thing that Henry did this past weekend, and that's something that he's teaching him. Hey, man, like he said, D'Amico tells them, y'all are not lawnmowers. Don't sit there and chew up grass. Don't sit up there and chew up grass. He said, and don't sit there and just waste space. Find somewhere to be. Find somewhere to be. Find somewhere to get. As they used to tell us in the Army. Hey, look, when we dismiss y'all, find somewhere to be. Don't be hanging out. Don't be malingering. Go do something. Find something to do. Find somewhere to be. And so that play, matter of fact, I'm going to talk to Azeez about that today. That play that Azeez did in week 1 is the same exact play and the same exact scheme and the same exact thing that Henry did in week 5. And I don't know if Henry would have done that last year. I honestly and truly don't. I don't know if Henry would have done that. I'm going to talk to Henry about that today too. All right, y'all got to get up out of here. Let me see. Hey, y'all, wait, hold on. Y'all see what AD said, right? He said he ain't apologized. So when I block him, y'all know why. AD, I ain't gonna block you, bro. Here is the ghost of man. I'm gonna keep it moving. Last year, Harris, this year, Henry. The D'Amico effect is real. We shouldn't worry about linebackers. That's right, Mellow Mike. Azeez watched the Jordan flu game before. Oh man, find somewhere to be. Don't be like Tunsil versus the. I'll make sure I tell him today. Hey man, you need to watch this podcast called. You need to listen to this podcast and watch this show called the H-Town Rundown. Yeah, no, the ringleader AD. Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, he the one. Yeah, find him. It's crazy. Once again, I want to thank my guest today, Kelly Iko from the New York Times Athletic NBA regional reporter. I also want to say this before I go one more time. Hey, Walmart, Target, Home Depot, Home Goods, Staples, Whataburger. I don't know. Oh, listen, it's entirely too early to be putting out Christmas decorations. We haven't gotten past Halloween yet. We haven't gotten past Thanksgiving yet. Stop putting out these damn Christmas decorations. It's not time for Christmas decorations. You know when it's time for Christmas decorations? After Thanksgiving. A tradition at my house used to be Thanksgiving Day, you eat Thanksgiving, and then after you watch football, you get in the car and you go around and you look at Christmas lights because people have started people have started turning on their Christmas lights. And you do that all the way until after December 31st, January 1st at the latest. By January 2nd, your Christmas decoration should be down. I don't get it. But we'll see. Don't nobody else tell y'all they love you today. Big Sarge does. I'm out.
Hard work, hard work. Hard work, hard work. Hard work.